Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
Ahoy! Let's go! We're waking up Chicago. Turn up the radio. It's time to start the show. On Q101 with the morning crew. Ahoy! Let's go! Welcome to the morning show.
Let's go. 6:03. It is 78 right now. Kind of gloomy outside. Man, that light show last night was pretty impressive. The lightning.
Oh, you meant light? I thought there was like a show, like a David Pierre or something.
Yeah, there was a Pink Floyd light show.
I was like, oh, that's cool.
They did Dark Side of the Moon. Little laser show going on.
But you know what was weird in Elgin is it was very bright and thundery, but then no rain.
Oh, really? Because down here by Wrigleyville area, it was pouring. And the thunder was like rattling our windows, and the lightning went on forever. You know, you see like 17 strikes of lightning and then one thunder?
Yeah.
I'm like, where'd all the other thunder go? Like, why didn't it all go per lightning strike, the thunder?
I don't think it's thunder per lightning.
I don't know.
I don't think it's an equal equation.
I just thought there'd be a couple more thunders to the lightnings.
Thank goodness there was not more thunder, though, with the baby. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I went back and looked at Harper. She was sleeping like a baby.
Yeah.
In that thunder.
Just knocked out. I get like so stressed out now when a storm comes because every time I hear thunder, I start sweating because please don't wake the baby up. Like, please, thunder, God.
I will say I did not get a text from Case, who lives near me, and he was not scared unless he just held off on texting me.
I was in Logan Square last night. I wasn't in our neighborhood.
Oh.
I had a lady to keep me company as I was frightened throughout the night and into the third period of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Ah, the old snuggle buddy?
A little bit. You know me. I get in there.
Yeah.
Into the nooks. What are you, the little spoon?
I am. Oh, am I the little spoon? Come on. Of course I am.
So what you're saying is you're on the couch watching Stanley Cup Game 7, lightning and thunder,
Yep.
spooning, snuggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as heaven on earth.
Well, somebody texted in and said they thought that they saw you at the White Sox game last night. So
I was not at the White Sox game last night. I'll hopefully be there Wednesday night. I have not bought my ticket yet, but I'm going to try to make it Wednesday night.
Yeah, the Dodgers in town?
Yeah.
That game got delayed, but they finished it last night. We'll talk about that in sports. But I thought with the way that lightning went, they could not have finished that game last night.
I would have thought so, too. I was, surprised to see they finished the game when I woke up this morning. Disappointed to see the final result.
they had a second base coachman or whatever they were looking for that first time, a first base coach. They were locked and loaded.
Yeah. I just go out there. Well, there's lightning, guys. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Let's just play it. Let's just get the game
All the
off.
coaches are here.
Hey, sometimes you got to take a risk, okay?
Come on. I mean, I imagine the attendance, I don't know what the attendance was last night.
It was packed.
It had to be packed for the
packed.
Dodgers.
Yes.
Hey, we got a full stadium. Let's play this game.
Let's give them something to remember, baby.
I mean, what are the odds, really, of lightning striking Shohei Ohtani and then even then, if that happens, we make some big news. We get the national news out of it.
Yeah, you get the headlines for a day.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it was pretty serious stuff. But hopefully everybody is. There was a lot of trees down where I was heading to work today just a little bit. So I don't know about the burbs if you took some damage like that. But well, I'll tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. Coming up here at about 6:15, just about 10 minutes away, we're going to give you the first keyword of the day for the Glass Animals trip to Nashville. VIP trip. You'll be all set up amazingly. So just about 10 minutes away. Stay here. We'll give you the first people. You guys are in the club right now, in our little exclusive club. We'll give you that word and get it out there early so you have a chance at the trip to Nashville.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Time for a fact that makes your brain go. Now, we're going to tell you what this means in about 10 minutes here at 6:30, but you can text in at 312-591-8300. We'd love your guesses, and Kenzie and Cases too. What do you think raw dogging on a flight means? What do you think it means? Raw dogging when you're on a flight. We'll tell you what it means in 6:30, and actually, everybody should try it at least once.
I agree.
Okay.
My man.
You should wrap it up. Wrap that thing up like an enchilada, baby.
Raw dogging on a plane.
No, thank you.
Everybody should try it once, and it may not mean what you think it means. Get your minds out of the gutter, people.
You're the one saying let's raw dog a flight and get my mind out of the gutter. That's just a gutter statement. It's just already there.
Well, we'll tell you everything you need to know. You can guess at 312-591-8300. Raw dogging a flight. Everyone should do it at least once. And we'll tell you what that is coming up here in the fact that makes your brain go.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
Q101.
Time for a fact that makes your brain just go. Raw dogging on a plane. Have you done it? You probably have done it. And if you haven't, you should do it at least once. And maybe you'll do it going forward on every flight. You do. So, a lot of people guessed some things we can't read about raw dogging on a flight because, my goodness, you people, your mind's in the gutter. Dirty, naughty people.
So we asked people to guess what it means, and somebody said, having sex without a condom on a flight? They just gave...
Pretty good.
Like, you'll never believe what raw dogging in the workplace is. Funny.
Pretty good. Appreciate all the guesses. But what raw dogging on a flight, it's a challenge to you. Obviously started as the TikTok challenge. Everything starts on TikTok. But completely avoiding any entertainment on the flight, sitting and looking straight forward at the seat in front of you for the entire flight. That is raw dogging a flight.
Why?
Because, well...
Not why do they call it that, but why would you do it?
Well, it's a challenge, right? It's to see if you could pull it off and do it because... And also, I have done this a couple times. Like, I get on a flight, I'll download music. I'll download shows I want to catch up on. Or the standby, which is always... I don't know if you do this.
What?
Go through your photos and delete.
Oh, I do. I delete photos.
Because you're on airplane mode, but I can delete photos. Can't keep me off my phone, bitches.
Yeah, I got to clean that out.
Yeah. But sometimes I remember just getting there, and it's kind of like that shower thought deal. What can you also do in the shower? When you get in the shower, you always get thoughts you never think of because your brain is so not distracted by anything else except washing your body, which doesn't take much brain effort.
No.
So
I think I feel like as a person, I think a mile a minute. Like, I'm somebody who has arguments in my head, like premeditated. Like,
that's really shocking.
I'm just like, you know what? I can't go to that tonight. And if I hear anything about that, you know what? I went to this a week ago. And I get all worked up.
And
like,
you haven't even asked anybody yet or talked about it with anybody.
Absolutely not. I get so upset in my mind. And so, yeah, I mean.
And the drugstore called and they ran out of you.
Basically.
Sorry, a little Seinfeld reference there in the shower. Yeah, but I remember in a flight when I really wanted to sleep. A lot of times that's why I can just sleep. I got 2 hours, I got an hour here. I can actually catch up on sleep without interruption. But the last time I flew to Nashville to see my mom, I couldn't sleep. And I had all that stuff on my phone ready to watch. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to sit. And people start looking at you if you're not doing anything on a plane.
Well, it makes them nervous.
I
It
guess.
looks like you're getting ready to do something like you're like mentally preparing yourself.
Why is he looking at the cockpit?
You're like touching your knees a lot. I don't like it.
I got to tell you, not long after 9/11, I was on a flight, and this guy across from me was doing this raw dogging, not doing anything, and he kept tapping his thigh like this. And he looked like he was working, like you were just said, like he was working himself up. And everybody was falling asleep. And I said,
staring at him.
I said, you know what? This is a long flight. This was from Phoenix back to Chicago. I said, I'm going to be a good American. And I'm going to stay awake and watch this guy because he don't look right. Something's off here.
Something's off.
And you know what? He just tapped his thigh the whole flight, and I didn't get any sleep. That was it. He didn't get up and try to rush. He did not try to.
You know what, Brian? It's because you stayed awake. He was
Maybe.
like, you know, like at the end of Scooby-Doo, there was like, if it weren't for those meddling kids, he was like, I would have been able to hijack this plane.
I think I saved America that day. I was exhausted when I got to Chicago, but this guy just tapped his thigh the whole
Nothing
time.
gets past the daddy. Not on a flight, baby.
3 hours, the guy slapping his thigh, looked like he was going to rush the cockpit, and he never did.
Oh.
Did Dick Cheney write you a letter and thank you after that?
I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not supposed to talk about
You know
what
what's so funny is I know Brian also for 3 hours imagined articles being written about him being a hero.
Oh, I had it all worked out.
Can you imagine especially like how he thought he'd tackle him. Everyone would clap, and the women would just pull their tops off on the plane. And he just thought he'd be here for the rest of his life. He'd get to stand up at the baseball games when they honor the veterans. He gets to stand now.
Like Sully, the guy that landed the plane in the Hudson.
Tom Hanks plays you in a movie.
Oh, he couldn't wait. He was angry this guy wasn't a terrorist at the end of the flight.
Wait, you're not going to rush the cockpit? What the hell, bro?
What's wrong with you, bro?
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. You know, yesterday this time we did those top 10 most unhealthiest snacks. Zebra cakes winning the most. I can't tell you how many DMs I got about zebra cakes yesterday and how many people eat them. And it's the number one unhealthiest snack by carbs. And
apparently it's the actual number one snack of our listeners.
Yeah.
We got a lot of messages.
So that kind of sidetracked a little bit of what we do on Monday around this time as your highlight of the weekend. And we got through some of you guys, but we didn't get a chance to go around the horn. And Kenzie, you don't know this story, but Case told me this story about the weekend where he went to interview a band. And I'll just, I guess, leave it right there and let you take the story from there.
Well, I want to know if anybody has been in my shoes before where people mistake you for being somebody else. So Sunday afternoon, I went to the Bottom Lounge to film a Case 4 interview, which for those that don't know, a Case 4 is an interview series that I do on Q101's YouTube channel.
Shameless plug.
With a lot of upcoming bands, a lot of bands that are maybe playing Riot Fest this year, have played Riot Fest in the past, to open for Q101 Twisted Christmas, stuff like that. So I was at the Bottom Lounge on Sunday. I was interviewing a guy named Dan Campbell. He's the vocalist for the Wonder Years, who are a great pop punk band, and then Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties, who he's on tour with now, who is like a 10-piece folk band, Bruce Springsteen-style Americana music. They're great. So,
and before you continue, Case or Kenzie, the band's called the Wonder Years. Isn't that fun?
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Nothing to do with the show, but a very fun name.
Yeah.
The Wonder Years.
Okay, so I set the interview up with his publicist, who's great. She's the best publicist in the game. And she told me when we set up the interview, hey, just text him the morning of the interview. Here's his phone number. Remind him he has to do this interview because he's been on tour for a while. He's going to forget. So I wake up Sunday morning. I text him. I don't hear anything back, which is a little nerve-wracking, but I'm thinking like, all right, well, we're both going to be at the Bottom Lounge. We'll figure this out. It's not a super big place. We'll find each other. We'll do this interview.
And by the way, this is kind of typical. This happens a lot. You hear about us interviewing bands a lot. There's a lot of confusion sometimes. There's a lot of waiting around to figure out how we're going to meet up. People think that we just connect super easy.
I wish it was easier.
And a lot of times it's just very weird. There's a lot of middle people in the whole process sometimes. Not to stop your story, but just to kind of set that kind of vibe that this is our lives a lot, trying to connect with people that aren't just like perfect.
They don't want to connect with us.
Maybe they don't want to connect with us. That's right.
So I'm at the Bottom Lounge with our cameraman, Giorgio. It's 2 p.m. on Sunday. The interview is supposed to start at 2. 2:05 goes by. 2:10 goes by. I send the singer another text like, hey, man, we're here. You know, whenever you're ready, we'll pop out, say hi. We'll do an interview with you. And it's about 2:25 at this point, and we see the singer of the band roll into the Bottom Lounge. It's just him. And we introduce ourselves. Oh, thank God you're here. You know, hey, man, thank you so much for doing this. Whatever. We're exchanging pleasantries. At some point during this initial interaction, I thought I explained very clearly, I'm Case from Q101. I'm here to interview you. It turned out not to be the case because the singer starts talking, and his name's Dan, and he's talking a lot about gear. And musicians might just be into the gear they have, but he's like, oh, man, you know, my guitar stopped working in St. Louis last night, had to get a new guitar. I really want to test this guitar before we get on stage. I'm like, hell yeah, man, test it. I love it. I love guitars. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So he looks at me. He's like, well, where do you want us to load in our equipment? Do you want us to go in the front door or the side door? I'm like, dude, whatever. Like, you tell me. You know, you just bring your gear in and play this concert tonight, whatever. We'll be ready whenever you are. And he goes, okay, so why don't you help me load in my gear from the front door? And not really thinking much of it, Giorgio and I go out to this guy's tour bus. And again, this is a 10-piece folk band. And we start bringing in their gear. And I said to Brian when I told him this story, I go, you're a guitarist. Imagine someone you don't know picking up your guitar. That would enrage you, right?
It would. They're like your girlfriends and your wives. The guitars
Why do you have so many? Your girlfriends.
Your side pieces.
It's like all your wives.
More
you
than
don't
Brian.
touch all your wives.
But Case is kind of sloughing over the meat of the headline here. The guy basically just said, like, so let's load in the gear.
Yeah.
And Case and Giorgio, who work here, just went to the truck and started unloading the gear.
What should have been the initial red flag is, what door do you want us in?
I know. It was all happening very fast. I was starting to
Okay.
get very nervous. It was all happening fast, but I didn't want to be rude. He seemed like he needed a hand.
So essentially, he thought they worked for the venue and didn't work for Q101. He
Yes.
thought they were roadies. Case and Giorgio.
So we start.
Is Giorgio holding a camera?
No.
Okay.
We should have ambushed him TMZ style. That's what I'm going to do from now on when
Yeah.
we do these interviews.
Well, no, you should have said, "Oh, I'm not a roadie.
No,
I'm here to interview you." Instead, you and Giorgio, like drones, go and start
Well, they start.
unloading,
They're
loading
like
the gear.
wiring a microphone and taping the stage.
So this is exactly what happened. So we're carrying in.
How long, by the way, did this happen before?
We carried gear for 20 minutes. I was sweating. I was sweating because I'm picking up, again, it's not only guitar, bass guitar. I'm carrying in a drum kit. I'm carrying in a saxophone.
Yeah.
I'm carrying in a trombone. It's a whole big production with this band specifically. And at one point, we were holding the door open for the drummers that he could bring in more gear. And that's when I felt this awful pit in my stomach. And I said, Giorgio, he doesn't know who we are. He thinks we work for Bottom Lounge. And Giorgio goes, no. I go, no, I'm not asking. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He thinks we work for Bottom Lounge, and I don't have the social skills to tell him that we're here to interview him, not to set up his sold-out concert for him.
I am blown away that you didn't call me and put me on the phone with him to tell him. Because that's Case acts like I'm his mom.
Yeah.
And he's always like, can you just go tell this person? By the way, for Giorgio to go, no, I don't think so. Why don't you think so? Should have been your follow-up question.
And by the
It's
way,
so deep.
And Giorgio's the nicest
He's
and
the
most
best.
and most talented guy that works here as far as in videography and
And he's a
graphic design.
roadie. He's stellar.
Is a roadie. And I could see Case sitting here thinking, you know what would have been great in this situation if Kenzie was here. To just tell him, hey guys, I'm not a roadie. I'm here to interview you.
Let me tell you something. A box would not have been lifted if I were there. Like, want me to help carry this in? Not really. Are you ready for your interview?
Instead, you were almost done with load-in for him before you finally told him.
So did you tell him?
Or yeah,
this?
what happened then? How did the thing end?
So I explained to Giorgio, I said, again, I don't have the social skills to deal with this situation. I need you to tell him that we're here from Q101. And at that point, Giorgio found the singer and said, hey, just so you know, we are here to interview you. And the singer, Dan, who is, again, a great guy, goes, oh, I thought you worked for Bottom Lounge. I didn't know you guys were the interview guys. So at that point, we put their gear down. We apologized for touching their gear. And then we did an interview that you can find on Q101's YouTube channel.
Good Lord. So you ended up apologizing this scenario?
Oh, my God, yes. I felt so bad that I touched all his stuff.
Oh, my God.
And he's like, oh, thank God you said something. I was just about to ask you for some sort of cable. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what that is.
Oh my God.
But boy, would you have went out and bought one.
I would have had to have gone to Chicago Music
Unbelievable.
Exchange.
How funny is that?
Did you just lay down in front of the two of us so it could run over you, too? What is wrong with you, Case?
I was just trying to be helpful, but like, I've done a lot of interviews. I've talked to a lot of bands for Case 4. At no point have they ever asked me to carry in their gear. They're normally super grateful that Q101 wants to come hang out with them. And I'm not saying that he wasn't, but I thought, man, this guy really needs some help if he's asking Giorgio and I to carry in their heavy, expensive gear that they've been touring with all summer.
Case introduced himself, and the guy was like, yeah, there's a case over there if you just want to grab it.
Let's go grab that. Yeah. I'm the Case guy.
Yeah, Case guy, got it. It's
So-
over there if you
so-
could just start.
Someone can relate. 630 checked in. Rise Against at the House of Vans. My buddy helped back in their equipment truck and started loading it up. All the crew, he says all
What
the
is
crew.
going on?
He says all the crew was just standing around watching him do it.
That's the thing.
I don't know if you ever had mistaken identity or a situation like that with Case in this situation. Now, Case could have stopped it very easily in 2 seconds. If Kenzie was there, it would have stopped very quickly.
Instantly. There would have been no confusion. And also, I'm pretty sure my heels and outfit would have been like, I'm not, no.
Yeah.
He's not asking me to carry this.
That's no roadie. All right, 312-591-8300. Give us that check-in. We have Renaissance Fair tickets coming up at 7:10 and Clash with Kenzie. Before that, a lot to get to in sports. And first, it's Gil Curtis with your headlines of the day.
This is not headline news. A yacht-sized asteroid is approaching Earth. but it still won't make you fear for the future of this planet like Thursday night's debate. 37% of ChatGPT answers are untrustworthy, but I got that statistic from ChatGPT, so it may not be trustworthy. Elon Musk had another child. This means he's surpassed Brad Pitt, tied Alec Baldwin, and is only 4,000 kids behind Nick Cannon. And Hooters shut about 40 locations. Ironically, they went bust. This is not headline news.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.